Okay, now let's go back to Joshua. We are teaching Joshua chapter 10, verse 16. We are teaching on the 10 principles that brought me out of trouble. These 10 principles, by the way, were the very first 10 principles that God used when He called me into the ministry and started teaching me to prosper and be in health, even as my soul will prosper. And those 10 principles I learned because one time I was a little brownie cookie salesman. Can you imagine me in the valley selling little brownie cookies in this kind of bread truck type of deal? And nobody in the valley at that time will tell you that nobody bought cookies in the Rio Grande Valley. Everybody liked pan dulce. How would you like to walk into stores and they got 6 different cookie companies and they say to you, I don't need any more cookie companies later for your little brownies, because they had a negative name. So to sell, the salesmen before me, there were about 8 salesmen before me in the last 2 years, and none of them made it. Why did I make it? The 10 principles that I'm about to teach you, which, by the way, by last Sunday I taught you 4 principles already. And today I'm teaching you number 5. 10 principles. I walk into the Ballymart store up in Brownsville. This is back in 1975. And there's a rack selling books. And I look at the book, and there's a book that says The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. And God says to me, buy that book. At that moment, I had $2 in my pocket for lunch. Do you think I'm interested in buying a book? But God said, buy that book. And I look over at the book, I get close to it, and it was a paperback edition for 99 cents. And I bought it. I started reading it, and I couldn't stop reading it. I ended up in the bathroom of that supermarket, reading the book. It changed my life. There were 10 principles there that I recommend to you or anybody that wants to make it. First principle we thought about a couple of weeks ago was patience. The ability to live with patience, to have the patience to change your bad habits. Say, I will change my bad habits. I am very patient. Say to yourself, I'm the doctor and I'm the patient. Changes the meaning, right? And I started changing my bad habits. Started getting up early. Got rid of the bad habit of getting up late. Got rid of the bad habit of not looking at people and smiling. Got rid of the bad habit of being attitude. You know, you people that get attitude, those are bad habits. Ugly people. People that never give anything. All you have to do is give a smile. How much does a smile cost you? Anybody tell me? I was one of those that was cheap enough not to give you a smile. But I started giving away smiles while I was selling little brownie cookies, and I became the #1 salesman in that company within 4 weeks. And I ended up being the supervisor from here to Laredo with 5 men working under me with a company car, an expense account. How can God do that? Patience. Second one, walk in love. No matter what happened to me, it was a love attitude. I would refuse to criticize anyone that came against me in any way, shape, or form. Third thing, I was persistent, and I will succeed. No matter what. I noticed that the bulls in Spain, they're persistent. Somebody keeps bugging them with a blade. And do you know how the bull, people know that that bull is persistent? When the bull charges back. If the bull quits on the blade, is he persistent? So he taught me that anyone that made me ugly, acting ugly, or changing my attitude or my character, and I was not the same, I wasn't persistent. I was Mickey Mouse. Number 4, like we taught last Sunday, I found out that I was a miracle. Everybody point the finger to that person next to you. Stick your nail print out there and tell them, nobody else has the fingerprints that I do. Tell them, I'm a miracle. I've been born again. You're a miracle. There's nothing impossible to you. You are a miracle. You're not someone that just stands there and do nothing. You were created. You were born again. You are a miracle. There's nobody that can smell like you. Someone that can look like you, can walk like you, can make itself known to you. And those are tremendous virtues or powers that Joshua, who had to take over the promised land that God had committed, to fill Moses' shoes. How would you like to fill Moses' shoes? Tremendous man of God. Did more miracles than anybody else I know. Then Joshua filled his shoes, took over the land. And he only wanted one more positive person with him. His name was Caleb. And he was 85 years old. Say, Joshua was 80. And Caleb 85. And he took the land. They took 31 kings and destroyed them. The first 2 kings that they had to destroy and give to God, they could not even take a nickel from any of the kings, was the king of Jericho and the king of Ai. Everybody say, Ai, Ai, Ai. See, Jericho represents the tithes. I represent the offering. And as long as Joshua obeyed that, he got blessed. Because not only did he destroy those 2 kings, even though one of his buddies there messed up and he messed them up, but he went back and changed things around. He became so powerful. Joshua was so powerful right after that incident, after giving God Jericho and Ai and straightening out things. Joshua's faith was so powerful. How would you like to be as powerful as Joshua? Did you know that he stopped the sun? He stopped time. Some years back, when NASA was about, they had sent one of those satellites, Apollo deals, over into the moon, and there was a problem out there, and they had to recalculate everything to be able to bring everything back, and they had to go back in history to find out the timing of this ship when it was coming back to the earth, and they found out that there was some time missing in the computer. And do you know that a little old lady that read the Bible called them up? He says, Mr. NASA, this is in the Bible. It was Joshua that stopped the sun. Brother Johnson, who happens to be a scientist at NASA, I heard his testimony personally when I walked with him in the Caribbean at one time. He himself, look right there in Joshua right there, verse 10, chapter 10, verse 12. This is what Johnson had to read to the NASA scientists to put into the computer. Then Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, and he said unto the side of Israel, Sun,